Good morning, everybody. Wanted to talk about some of the things that happen in most of our lives, a lot of things that are going on. Judging from the research, a lot of this stuff deals with a lot of religious situations. No matter who you want to blame, it seems to always stick towards a religious factor in a Scientology, and in both science. And one could actually say that this whole situation is basically enveloped into a satanic cult of Scientology, as most would know it as, but also um, this would involve both, several different aspects of political values, agriculture, and of course, military. But it makes you wonder: do these individuals, if you can even call them people, do they feel anything at all from what they've done, from the torture they brought upon so many people, to the suffering they've caused many? They've killed and they've taken away and they've destroyed quite a lot of lives. So it makes me wonder, as those who are driven to peace and stability, there are probably beings out there who are the exact opposite, who are actually drawn to both destruction, suffering, and malice incarnate. I believe that maybe like it really makes you want to question: do they have the capacity to care, and do they have the capacity to love, and do they ever have the capacity to even show any type of stability like that at all? Are they simply incapable of it, or are they just too far consumed by corruption to do it? Or is this just something that is just in their nature to do, and they've just gotten themselves a hold of a power structure to where they started basically abusing that power structure in order to fulfill their desires? You know, it really makes you wonder. As a result, pets have been killed, people's family members have been killed in setup accidents so many times. People have been wrongfully imprisoned, people have been wrongfully accused, and it's just been like that since, I don't know, for quite some time. It really makes me wonder, because when you think about it, a lot of people try to see the equality between both men and women, and just men in general, or just people in general, really. But we can't deny the fact that people are not born equal, and the truth is just what it is. People, some are born in great poverty, while others are born in great wealth. And since this deals with a major part of spirituality, you got to really figure this out. Think about it. There are two realms. There's at least three parts of there's the spiritual, which is divided in three parts. Well, actually, no, I'll say four parts. Four parts. Now, I could be wrong about the fourth, but I'll put it in there just in case, just to be safe. And then there's the realm of this of which we're in now, the realm of the living. Now, the realm of the spiritual, well, that's divided in, like I said, four groups. You've got heaven and hell, then you got, limbo, and then of course you got unless the universe is limbo itself. However, I still believe that both of them are different. But when you think about the way gravity works, how like you're out there, you can't really try to run anywhere. You're just completely stuck moving in place wherever gravity is shifting you towards, and like unless you got a lifeline or something, you're gonna really be risking to be drifting for quite some time. You know, the way the way spaceships are designed now, like I don't think they got the capacity to just openly do something like that. They probably had situations like that, but I believe they always have methods to prevent that. But it really makes me start to wonder, like maybe there's definitely, without question, there's definitely a lot more to this stuff than we know. And you have to view things from that perspective, considering the fact of how much history has been destroyed and how much history has been altered. And the reality of what I'm seeing, there is a God out there, a God of peace who wants the best for all of us. There is. And there is a devil. What I see from my perspective of view is that these chemtrails that they put in the skies, which is all lead to nanotechnology, which is hackable via computer. This stuff has been sprayed on everybody. There's no denying that. And there's great amounts of people out there looking to cover it up and looking to hide many different things that lead to this and look to basically psyop and discredit those who wish to talk out about it and to basically spread awareness of it. There's no question about any of that. There's no question about the direct energy torture. There's no question about the gaslighting, the gang stalking, the community-based harassment, and the hacking. There's no question about any of this at all. Not one bit. So, seeing all of this technology in the phones that's been designed to program people, you got your Project Bluebeam there, and to make matters worse, you got the dead tone technology as well as the high radiational frequencies that get beamed off whenever you play like a video or music or anything from the device. This is why I've always told, always say, don't keep your phone, if you can, don't keep it in the same room with you because of that fact. Not to mention the calibrated weapon systems with your device, using it to basically give a GPS location so they can just keep hitting you with these direct energy torches to make it more, with pinpoint accuracy, I suppose. Otherwise, they would have to basically just be driving around with energy weapons just to shoot you with radiation. And yes, they do have handheld weapons like that. So, looking at it from this perspective, this whole thing has just been shifted in a way to where the actual true history of the religion that is of God has it's either hidden in plain sight or it's been altered some kind of way. But in the end, there's stuff, despite the fact that how much things have been altered, how much things have been messed with, how much things have been tampered with. And you got to really think about it. When you think about the Bible, I mean, yeah, it has good words in it, but like if you looked at what they've been doing to it recently, you would see that they've been changing a lot of stuff in it. And not to mention, the Bible's coming from a factory that's made by machines that men program these machines. They could put anything in these books that they want. However, despite all of this corruption, despite all of this, the will of God is still quite clear and still quite overwhelming. It is. It's what brings the kindness out of us. It what brings both the love and caring and compassion out of each and every one of us. It truly does. Which is why I believe the compassion of the devil is what influenced those who seeks out to torture us. Of course, it could just be their own malice incarnate. Most likely, it could very well be. But in the end, when we're brought out here, we're given free will, right? I believe when God makes individuals, maybe there's no way of telling how they're going to turn out. He could design them. I can't really say God is he or she because I wouldn't even know that. But I believe God, when God designs a person in perspective, or just life in general. Remember, free will is not ever to be tampered with, right? So there's no prediction. How do we not know that person's gonna, or person, or animal or thing is gonna turn out to be either male or female, right? So there's that, and also the will to also make a decision to help, as well as also to making the decision to harm. There were at least 10 commandments passed down, at least during the situation with Moses. That much is for certain. But at the same time, like, I don't know what to tell anybody else, but like, you can't trust anything you see on the media. You can't trust any of it because it's nothing more than a huge platform of deception. It's there to distract you. It's there to lie to you. It's there to hide and blind you from the truth and just program you into a systematical way of thinking and not an independent way of thinking. This whole system has gotten so large that it involves its way well into the school system. I've realized this when I started questioning things as I was growing up. I didn't understand why, you know, people would do the things that they've done. Like they would just go with anything and not question, its background at all. They just wouldn't bother doing that. And it came to the term, these were several different random stuff that was brought up, like swag, or then they, then I find out there's another word similar to that that's called swagger. So maybe, I think that could have been most likely that without a doubt a psyop. A lot of the stuff dealing with like gang banging and stuff like that, it's definitely heavily altered in these programs, because they do send their agents there to try to recruit whatever people who would be willing to get involved in this. Now, as most TI's fellow target individuals know, we've already seen more than enough evidence to indicate that these perpetrators who do um, work in line for this corruptive organization, they try to use us as practice for their kids, so that when their kids grow up, they can also become agents of stalking harassment themselves. I say it's time we start teaching our own, not just our own young, but also ourselves, tactics to basically defend against stuff like this. Um, and this is one of the things that I wanted to do, and I'm gonna make a video on how to on different defenses that you can use to both defend yourself when it comes to stuff like this. I believe it's absolutely necessary, but more than anything, the best thing I can ever think of, because it's a difficult situation. I mean, on the one hand, you got people trying to set you up, and on the other hand, you got people beaming you with negative frequencies, trying to alter your personality, alter your words, alter your way of thinking, and just completely convert you into someone you're not without your consent. It's difficult. I can't imagine how anybody could ever try to find a relationship in such a situation and not knowing like what's going to happen in the end result, considering what's going on. I mean, I have a pretty good grasp of reality of everything that's happening, but with with an organization like this, the fact that they've hidden technology from the public that most individuals have absolutely no idea that exists, and anybody who would ever threaten to actually bring an actual identification of this technology that does exist currently will probably just be killed off in an instant. I have no doubt about that. Considering how bad this whole secret societies have become, it's quite apparent that these individuals very well know that they quite and very well fear death. Okay, they do. Otherwise, why would they have adrenochrome? They worship demonic entities, right? So why is it that they are? See that's it right there. Why do they fear death? Why is that? Why do they wish to live forever? Why is or not even forever, but like why do they cling on to life like that? Why? If they're so confident in these demonic entities that they worship, right? Why do they fear death? Why is adrenochrome even a thing? Is it, it can't just be to just remain younger, because some people have I'm willing to believe there are people who have lived for quite a long time doing that. But the thing is, death is unavoidable. When a person fears that, they've already basically, fear is a construct that it's okay to be afraid. That's nothing wrong to being afraid. You just got to be willing to face your fears when the time comes for it. However, there's no excuse for what this adrenochrome stuff does. I believe there's a huge engraved law when it comes to life, and both death as well. I believe murder within itself, to just take away the life of another, I don't believe none of us have that right. It doesn't matter what the circumstances is. I don't ever view taking the life of another as an option. I just don't see it. Because who am I to destroy a life of another that God created? The same thing could be said about the ones who torment us every day with these weapons. Who are they to judge and make decisions that they have done? Who are they to make decisions of life and death? Who are they to really take the life of another? Can you really believe what these other satanic individuals who hired you tell you? They were born into this world no different than you. Sure, they may have more knowledge than you, but if they never died, how can they know what exists on the other side? How? And if so, why is it that they're afraid to ever make that, to ever just pass on, to just accept death and basically move on? Why is that? I'll tell you what it is. It's fear. So many individuals who work for this organization have basically been blinded by fear, blinded by greed, blinded by malice, and blinded by their own ambition, if you can even call it that. They convince themselves that it's simply okay simply because someone tells them it's okay. How do you not know that that person is lying to you? Of course, people have the capacity to lie, people have the capacity to cheat, and people have the capacity to hide things, to discredit people, to bury the truth, and even to tell the truth, to be kind and be nice, and be compassionate to one another. People have these capabilities. However, these individuals who just go out and do this, I know for a fact a narcissist hates it when someone treats them ill will, with bad intentions. They absolutely hate it and they cannot stand it. And I know this because I've actually had the opportunity to figure this stuff, actually see it happen for myself. Yet despite the fact that they can't stand themselves being hurt, they still feel an unresistible need to hurt others. So they don't seem at all bothered by taking the chance of hurting others, and they don't seem to ever show fear of anybody else being able to hurt them back until it actually happens, which is most likely to them very unexpected. And when it does, they have more like a childish like demeanor, more capable to just lash out, more willing to just start a fight that inevitably they started themselves. I mean, if you hadn't bothered the person in the first place, you wouldn't have the problem to begin with, right? No matter how I look at the situation, it's just too damn obvious. These people who allow themselves to be bought off, they're in threat to losing their souls to the devil. These people who portray themselves off or actually is the workers of iniquity, they are in the highest effect of basically losing their very existence. And it's because people don't take the fact of the unknown seriously. It's because they're so profound to this way of life that we come to know that they've become too comfortable with it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with comfortability, but you should never allow it to ever cause you to never um, take unnecessary risks like that, to just cause harm to another and not expect harm back. You got to remember, the universe requires balance. If God is making sure of anything, it's balance. So what do you think is going to happen if too much malice starts to build up and cause a whole bunch of grief, heartache, plague, and all famine, all you just name all the and all the stuff in the that's basically written in the negative. You could just name all of it. What do you think is going to happen if so much of it is basically building up? It's going to basically get shut down. It's going to get put down, and it's going to have to be considered in order to make things even out again. I'm not basically saying this requires the death of anybody. I'm just saying that it's just an inevitability. Too much of something is not a good thing. It's just like it's too much good can be a bad thing too. As much as it pains me to say that, but it's the truth. I mean, how do when it comes to things that that basically feels a kind of way, and it's like you don't let this to get you to ever make that extreme decision to try to take a life of another. You never let that happen, ever, and you don't ever allow it to cause you to take your own life either. Never. Because to do so it would be dishonorable to the life that was given. You were given life for a reason. You were given existence for a reason. The fact that God made a decision to bring you here and now, to let you be able to live, to breathe, to meet new people, to be able to have relationships, to even bear your own children out into this world, to even be able to exist, that within itself shows meaning in life. The fact that you were given it shows meaning to your very existence. And in taking it, you put yourself in a position that cannot be rewritten. Once you kill, you cannot undo what you've done. Once you've hurt someone, you can try to mend the pain, but you can't undo those words that were already said. People can bury the truth all they want, but there's no denying what happened. And something, people who will always remember when it happened, they will. And those who also witnessed it. They can try to prevent many other people from seeing it, but more and more people will eventually find out. It's just like when I was talking about the Kenneka Jenkins case. There's so many people talking about that it just doesn't die out. And you best believe the people who are mainly involved in her death are most likely pissing their pants at how much information is being thrown around. They're trying to discredit a lot of information to try to basically pass blame onto others who were involved in order to cover their own asses. But that's eventually going to work against them. And yes, people do pay people off for something like that. This is just what the government does. They send a whole bunch of misinformation out there in order to disinform the public, to cause people to not understand what is going on, and to basically believe in false truths, while basically flooding the real truths that exist out there that people are trying to put out. When you see channels getting censored, when they're talking about stuff that is not, that actually is for a debatable cause. Like, let's talk about this. Let's actually see where this goes. But no, they do not want you to do that. They do not want you to question things. They do not want you to find out. They don't want you to know. They want you to stay asleep, unawake, unaware, and completely dead-minded. They want this for both you. They want this for both your children, but they don't want this for themselves or their own. They don't ever put themselves in a position of great pain, but they're more than comfortable of putting others in a position of great pain. They never put themselves in a position to where they have to suffer like we have been able to suffer. Except for some, and some people did speak out about this, how they do condition some people amongst the same type of pain that we endure in order to basically get them, or should I say, to force them towards their agenda of wherever they want these agendas at. Through all my years of being alive, I can say this for certain. There's a lot of stuff out there that seems to just be desperate to get you to either take your life or take someone else's. That's as much as I can say. And it don't matter how you look at it, it's just so much stuff that's being put out there that puts you in a negative type of thought, puts you in a more violent state of mind, not a peaceful state of mind, in a more angrier type of attitude, not a happier type of attitude. And things that bring you joy, they seek out to destroy. They want chaos. They want mayhem. They want a catastrophe to befall so they can basically roll in whatever excuses they got planned. The same system that has caused problems, that's caused many of these things that have broken down lives, caused people their jobs, cost them their livelihoods, cost them family, caused family to split up, break up ties, caused relationships to be destroyed, caused actual people to be dead or killed or murdered or whatever, just in just a setup accident. If it's just a setup accident, it still counts as murder regardless, whether anybody else knows the truth or not. No matter how you look at it, the same system is just bent on causing nothing but projection of negativity, no matter how you look at it. Negativity lies at the heart of everything they do. Narcissism is absolutely no different. No matter how you look at it, they're comfortable. Individuals who are like that are comfortable with causing great pain to others, to getting a cheap laugh out of it, and then just continuously doing it. But the minute you cause great pain to them, they hate it. They can't stand it at all. Like, they just can't stand the fact that they can feel pain. And you want to know what I think this whole thing really dives down to? I believe they strive so hard to cause great pain to people like that, that they want to just escape the very thought of their own vulnerabilities. The fact that they themselves can also feel pain. The fact that they can also feel grief and feel anything. I believe it's a method that they use to basically try desperately to escape it because they are terrified of it. Think about it. Think about how much money they put into these projects that do this to people. Think about how much manpower they put into this. Think about how much time and effort they put into this, specifically. And think about how many years have passed since this was going on. I believe they've gone so far as to where the people who are at the top of this and basically pulling the strings have gone so far to where there's absolutely no going back. And they know what lies before them in the afterlife, and it isn't a good thing. It's far from it. It's the farthest thing from it. They use adrenochrome because they're scared. They cause great pain and suffering onto others, and use their ties and manipulation and funding to cause great pain onto others to get their way, because they don't want people to see their vulnerabilities. They don't want people to see how scared they are. They try to get you to fear, to be afraid, to be sad, to be broken down, to prevent you from seeing how broken down they are, to seeing how weak they are, to how vulnerable they are. None of these powers they possess has any type of capabilities or even the magnitude of what God is capable of. There's no way. Try as they might, it's completely inevitable that it's just not possible to ever measure such a power like that. So what would you really be afraid of? A power that can basically just enslave you, torture you, destroy your body, of course, but not have the ability to destroy your soul, or the ability to completely erase your entire existence in both this realm and the afterlife. Which one would you really be afraid of? Because from my point of view, these workers of iniquity do cause great pain to us and cause great grief to us, primarily to basically condition us into a method of submission. That's what I see it. But they do not have the power nowhere near like God. They may try to imitate it, but it's not possible to actually wield such abilities like that. Not of that magnitude. No. They try to use science to try to duplicate it. They can duplicate and grow a body of any type of species, but they cannot duplicate a soul. They cannot create a soul. Hence, why they become so fascinated with it. I hope you guys are understanding what I'm talking about here, because what I'm basically mentioning is that they are just completely frustrated with their inabilities, that they strive to just continue trying to push through barriers to try to mess with things that they do not understand. And if they push too much, and it's already gone too much as it is, but it's inevitable that it's going to get to a point to where it's going to backfire on them, and when it does, there's going to be nothing they can do about it. There's absolutely no type of defense that can protect them from it. My message for today: don't be fooled by the media. Don't be fooled by these individuals who have sold themselves to this materialistic world that we live in, to just materialistic items, to money, to just things. You could see how goofy these people look if you basically saw all the videos from Black Friday events, seeing how desperate they are, basically bombarding each other, trampling each other, stabbing each other, shooting each other, beating each other up for materialistic items, for a TV, for a phone, for a gaming system, for a PC. Something that is just technology, a materialistic item, a soulless device. Not even a human being, just a soulless device designed for nothing more than entertainment and programmed conditioning. They've programmed people so bad that they have shifted their very thought of careness and protectiveness from each other to materialistic items. This is made apparent when you see how many people are just willingly to just do just about anything for money. It shows you that they have sold their souls for money in general. They they do and they do some of the most unethical things, which I'm not gonna go into because that's just for another video entirely. But you've all have bared witness to this. You've all have seen this, and you've all seen other channels of other targeted individuals who have also experienced this as well. And it's not so much as that it should piss you off. It's the fact that why are people just have such lack of compassion and lack of respect for themselves? They can try to use gaslighting, trying to say, oh, well, like technically, like I'm not. They're deliberately they're doing stuff to capture your attention, but in reality, they're trying to flip the script, and it's trying to say, well, no, oh, you're just looking and all that, like you're just doing this, that, and the other thing, right? But in reality, it's all them. It's all perpetuated street theater that has just been designed and set up prior to your arrival to whatever location or whatever building you're entering or whatever you're going. This whole damn thing is staged, but it hasn't changed the fact that these people have completely sold themselves for money. They value paper over human life. They value materialistic things over other people's lives and over other people in general. I don't think people understood, what the term, bullshit walks, money talks and bullshit walks actually really meant. What that is they're basically are referring to people's compassion and people's very input in life in general as bullshit. And that materialistic things such as paper money, a soulless, lifeless thing, is worth more. Now you tell me, does a person who would basically base their logic off such a on such an unethical thing like that, is that person even capable of basically showing compassion and love to their own children? Are they really? Is a narcissist really ever capable of that? Because I don't. It's hard to say. It really is. For most of us, we're capable of these things, but for a narcissist, it's like there's a complete void there of their emotions, and whatever type of emotions they would ever make it the slightest attempt to feel or to have, it just becomes lost in that void. It's like a black hole. It just sinks, and sinks to cease to exist. Not even able to even see it. I'm ending this video here. I don't want it to drag on any longer, but I hope this information does be quite useful to most of you out there who are going through hard times. And remember, don't ever dishonor the life you were given. Don't ever take life for granted. Be grateful you were given existence. Be grateful you were given a life to live in the first place. And don't think for a second that these individuals who are hurting you have the ability or the authority to say otherwise, because they don't. They try to pretend like they do. They try to show off like they do, but they don't. As always, stay safe, stay strong, everybody.